the meeting to today and making it happen. And I will turn it over to Mr. Lott.
Good morning. This morning for our superintendent's highlights, and Mr. Coward he texted me this morning. I talked to him yesterday. He is very sick. He could barely speak, so he deeply regrets not being able to be here this morning. But on the superintendent's highlights, we have Williston Elementary School, who is going to present on their social media, where they try to impart some good social media. Too many times it's so negative, and we have Miss Ricky Richardson, the principal at Williston Elementary School, here to present for us.
Hey. First, I would like to say a huge shout out to our maintenance department and Breezy, because we had a huge AC issue at our school yesterday, and his AC guys were there till 7:30 last night, and they were back there first thing this morning, and they have AC back to the whole school except for 2 rooms. So super appreciative for the extra effort on their part. So thank you very much.
Great.
Please don't act the same thing. And he will get a Facebook post. So we know that social media is the bane of a lot of our existence and our keyboard warriors, but it can also do a lot of good. And so we have to figure out how we can use it for positive and not for evil. So I've always thought if you get enough positive out there in front of people, it's harder for them to talk bad about you when there's so much good stuff out there. And so I was able to go to the NEFEC Summer Leadership Conference, and one of the presenters was on social media. And so I went to that presentation looking for some affirmation on the road we were going and some new ideas. And so right off the bat, she had this quote, and I'm like, yes, this speaks to my bones. So it says, we need to make the positive so loud that the negative becomes almost impossible to hear. And that is, like, I feel that down in my bones. So some of the slides I stole from her. So I want to give her credit for that. But you can go to the next one, please. Thanks. So on a weekly reach, if you have a small town and a school about the size of 540, which is West, you're going to reach about 5,000 people a week. So that's pretty powerful. And go ahead to the next one. So social media, the biggest platform right now for us old people, our faith is Facebook. The younger kids are down there, but to reach parents and us, we're the older ones, we're like that Facebook. It's familiar to us. Okay, go ahead. So why and how? So we want to boost our engagement of our community. We want them to support us. We want to show all the amazing things that are happening every day. And some problems that we have to deal with are dealing with comments. I will say that there's some tricks to the trade. You can turn comments off for a certain post. So if I post something that I know will probably be controversial, like when I posted about what children can bring in their lunchbox, I turned comments off. I did get 28 reshares on that one, but I will say half of them were very supportive. And then also, because we're in a small town, I also feel safe to call some of these parents when they make a comment, or the teacher calls some of the parents. And I've only had one person in 5 years that didn't remove the post. When I called them and talked with them, sometimes it needed a conference, but they removed it on their own without me having to ask, except for one. Okay, next one. So our whole purpose is to boost engagement, to understand the reach, to getting good content out there, memorable stories. We did pup cups in our car line last Friday, and we have about 10 to 15 dogs that come through our car line every day. And so I didn't advertise that I was going to do it because I only had 25 little cups, and I was like, if I advertise, I'm gonna have more than 25 dogs. And I had 2 dogs that afternoon, so I did advertise that we're gonna do it this Friday, but everybody loved it. Even if they didn't have a dog, they were very excited about it. So we try to do things that are just feel goods on Facebook. Go ahead. So you can look, there's like an algorithm for everything, right? And data for everything. So on Facebook, if you like, it gives you 1 point. If somebody comments, it gives you 7 points. And if somebody reshares, it gives you 14 points. So you can go onto Facebook and see your page and how it's affecting other people and how many you're reaching. So we've actually asked our SAC and our PTO to make sure that they like and reshare as much as possible. and they're doing a fantastic job of that. So when you go onto your page, you can actually see the data of how many people that are having a reaction, how many are commenting, how many are sharing. Go ahead. So this is our page information. So we have 2.1 thousand followers, Wes does. And I did this because I was 6% last month, so this is last month's data, but it'll show you the last 90 days. So we reached 25.4 thousand people in those 90 days. 2.6 thousand people viewed our videos. We haven't, our basic followers are 151 people, but you can see how many more people that we're reaching. You can also see 76% of our followers that are interacting with our page, and 24% don't follow us but are still interacting with our page. And then on the bars on the bottom, you can see 4.8 thousand had a reaction. We had 585 comments, and then 246 people reshared our posts. Go ahead. So this is a really cool part. So it breaks it down, all the data for you, like men versus women. Obviously, we have more women, more moms are on there on social media, looking at their kids on there. We also can break it down by age group. The next box is our age group. Where people are living. So the majority of our people are in Williston. And then my favorite is this last box. It shows you what countries. So yes, the majority is United States, but we've got people in Mexico, Puerto Rico, Guatemala that are all following our page and interacting with it, and that's amazing. That's the power of the good of Facebook, that these families that live in another country can still follow their grandkids or their nieces or nephews, or in some cases their children, through Facebook. So that's really cool. Next one. So how do we do this? I have actually had that role at school when I was in the classroom, being the person that takes all the photos and going in and making sure you're writing up all these great things, and it is a lot. And so when I went into admin, I tried to find someone that could do that, but it had to be, someone who could get into every classroom and didn't have like a homeroom kind of situation, and someone you trust, that you don't have to read what they're posting before they post it. And it's just really hard to find someone that can do that. So it was falling on our shoulders, and we just weren't getting enough content out there. Because when we go into a classroom, we've got 20 different things that we're thinking about and having to do, and taking pictures and thinking of a little post to put on there is at the bottom of that list. So we weren't getting it done. So when I went to the summer NEPAC conference, I had the idea of putting it back in the teacher's plate, but how do I reward them? How do I get them to buy into it? And so I created file folders for every grade and every little section area, and teachers have a file folder within their grade. And if they go on to this folder, it collects for Facebook. I use them for Facebook, but it's also collecting for our Avid data at the end of the year. And then it's also where our yearbook editor can go and pull all of her pictures. So before, they were having to go to different folders to drop all of that stuff. And it was about, a third are doing this and a third are doing that. So now it's all one stop, and then we're just going and pulling it from there. So go ahead to the next one. So a teacher goes in, she clicks her folder, she puts in her pictures, and then she writes me a little blurb. And if you do that, you can earn a Jeans Pass once a week. And Jeans Passes for teachers are like Skittles for children. You can count. And then if we have a teacher who's not really big into jeans, they can also earn 100 extra copies. And that's a big incentive to some of our teachers as well. Go ahead. So some of our posts, if you see on Wes's page a very informative post, like with a video of how to do something, that is my other half, Cecily. She puts those on there, and she's great at that. And then if you have the feel-good post, that's usually me. But we're a perfect match. So we do some informative ones, like how to get on Remind, how to do Skyward, and then we do the feel-goods, teachers' classrooms. We had a group of us that went to our little Raiders football games. We did a post about that. And that, our community really enjoys that. Next one, please. So we found that they really like to know what's going on work-wise with school. Those are two of our biggest interactive with our posts, were when we got our W painted and I hung up solar lights. They also like the feel good, like the pup cup. Go ahead to the next one. And then if it is a group, like if I do the whole school, like recess or a party that's going on. They also really love our videos, so we try and make videos, and we're trying to do some of the TikTok trends. I am not on TikTok, so I have to ask my teachers what's the newest education TikTok. And so we've done a couple videos where, like on the first day of school, the teacher says, you know, my name's such and such, and it's the morning of the first day of school, and then the afternoon, and they look all disheveled. So we try and do those that are funny, just to kind of interact with our community. Go ahead. Those are the Jeans Pass for the extra copies that teachers can earn. Go ahead. So our overall goal is to stop parents scrolling in the morning. They're on their phones. I think that the best 2 times to make a post is 6 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's when most of your people are on Facebook. So we want to catch their attention, stop their scrolling, share the good stories, and make our school a positive when they're thinking about it. A lot of our parents have past bias from when they were in school, and they bring it to their children, and so we want to try and break that cycle, and we want them to see all the amazing things our teachers are doing in the classroom, and so we want to bring it out to their attention. Go ahead. So we wanted some ideas to put on Facebook or things that tug at your heartstrings. Explain what's going on behind the scenes, special thank yous, anytime we need help or volunteers, just things to entertain people, and then some, things that jog our parents' memories that also went to school there. Go ahead. We like to describe things that are going on in the classroom and projects, and we love to highlight people who are doing an awesome job. And I think that's it. So that is social media for the good.
That's
Thank you.
fantastic.
Ricky, I love this. I feel like communication, I tell my older kids this all the time, communication is everything.
Yes.
And we've had a couple of things, like, not to get off on a tangent, happen in the past 5 years where I've said, I wish we had a public relations department.
Yeah.
I wish, because sometimes if you just even say, we would love to give you more information, but we can't because there's an investigation going on.
Yes.
Just information is power, and it's going to help you guys, and just to be a part. And to see, I love this. I think it's a great idea.
It's wonderful.
We're very passionate about it.
Yeah, you do.
Doing a good job.
Yeah.
It is a lot
Yeah,
of work. It is a lot of work. It takes me a long time to make a post,
Yeah.
and then I get Cecily to check it before I post,
Well, it's
because
cool.
you don't want to spell anything wrong.
Yeah, no.
Well, it's nice you see all the metrics to kind of see that it is
Yeah.
working, reaching
Yeah.
out to people, and
Yeah.
getting, seeing.
I love the fact that we're reaching other countries like that.
Right.
So, because like I have, on a personal, usage, I have family that are out of state, and I love Facebook because I get to check in on their kids and what they're doing, and so it's the same for our schools, and that's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And when you see the age for an elementary school, you see a lot of that is grandparents.
Yes.
So that's, yeah, it's great.
Is there a boosting area on that too, or is that,
There
In a
is, but I've
different-
never used it because I
Okay.
don't know what the boost actually does, and so I don't push something I don't know. But it always asks me, do you want to boost this post? And I'm like,
I don't know if they would charge for it.
Yeah, it does. I thought
Costs
it did.
money.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we asked the SAC, boost us up.
That's right.
Post us, comment, do all the things, so, and they're doing a good job with that.
Thank you so very much. That's very informative. I jumped ahead and went to Mr. Lott for the superintendent highlights, and I'll go back to 2 for the adoption of the full agenda. And just make mention before we get to the consent agenda, on the student trips, what's listed under the 1 trip, it has been canceled. So just to let the board know on that. So may I have a motion to accept the agenda, please?
So moved.
And second. A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. You can stay with us for the remainder? Do you want to?
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you. You
Thank you,
too.
Ricky.
And we'll move to item 5, Dr. Hanlon.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Every year I come to the board after we have gone through the process of school improvement development with the administration and some of their lead team met this summer. We did some data analysis and did some work on SIP plans. And so after all our fine tuning feedback and so on and so forth, we have our final plans to present to you and to request approval so that we can get them published on the state site.
I make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor for the SIP plan, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's a lot to those.
Mhm.
Mrs. Lake?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am actually going to start with insurance. I'm going in for Kaylee.
Miss Wade is the district golf match in Gainesville this morning, so she regrets not being here as well. Her daughter is competing, so she's there supporting Chiefland Middle High School.
All right, I know exactly what's on the sheet of paper that's been provided to the board. So it looks like the only increase we have is a 5% rate increase on PPO for dental. And we have no rate increase on health insurance. We want to continue with Florida Blue. They've proposed a continuation of our wellness agreement with them. We'll get $50,000 for this calendar year, and after that, it will be $30,000 in the 3 next calendar years. The benefits portal is going to be changing. I talked to Ms. Wade this morning. She assures us that the brokers are going to send out reps to help train everyone on the new platform. And every employee will be required to enroll this year. And she said to let the board know that her and her team plan on going into the schools the week before Thanksgiving for open enrollment. I think she just needs an approval.
Yes. And I think she also said when I spoke to her that they're still providing that wonderful wellness, like giving back. And then we can give some options to all the staff.
Yep. She said they have plans in place for the use of the wellness fund. She's done multiple things every year. 1 year were massages. I can't even remember it. Yeah, using it for that type of activity.
Move approval.
Second.
A motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you, Mrs. Lake. We'll continue on with you.
This is so nice. I get 2 pieces of good information. So no increase in health insurance, and now we can talk about the results of negotiations. So it's really nice to have positive news. So we were able to settle and get a tentative agreement on October 21st. The union worked really hard and actually got it ratified by October 24th so that we could stay within the timeline that you'll see we proposed for providing these increases to our staff. So what we TA'd on, I'll kind of walk through each section. This particular slide pertains to instructional, so teachers. We have 2 types of teachers. We have performance pay and what we call grandfathered. Performance pay this year is based on when they started with Levy County and they've had no break-in service. We do have several teachers that have been with us for a little while, left for a couple years and came back. This is looking at continuous service with Levy. So if they started anywhere between 22-23 or last year, they would get $1,000. 18-19 to 21-22 is $1,500. Let's see, 9-10 to 17-18 is $2,500, and anybody from the school year 08-09 and before would be $3,500. That particular hire date correlates with grandfathered, because you'll see in a moment we have statutes. We have to give 25% more. It's highly effective. So we are looking at grandfathered in the context of like teachers that are sitting on the performance scale. They're on different placement numbers, but they all have the same level of experience. So that would be your performance for experience adjustment. Next, they would get performance pay, $1,000 if they're highly effective, $500 if they're effective. That will be added to that experience adjustment. Performance pay and the experience adjustment are annually recurring. They're not lump sums. This is an actual contribution to their base pay. If they do not have a highly effective or effective rating, they would not get performance pay and they would not get the experience adjustment. The only people that qualified for an increase that did not have a rating with us would be new teachers hired this year, and we've changed, you'll see in a minute, the salary schedule. So their base changed if you adopt the new salary schedule. Grandfathered will get 3,500 recurring. And then all are eligible for the bonus, for loyalty bonus, and we have from 10 years to 30 years, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, and 3,000, based on those higher dates. So this just simplifies what it looks like for the grandfathered. We have 40 teachers. They range in steps 9 through 19. They have 16 to 36 years with us. They're getting a $3,500 annual increase. That is an average increase of 6%, and their average increase, because everyone would qualify for a bonus on that schedule, is 10%. The bonus is not recurring. All right, this is your performance pay teachers. When you look at them based on instructional years with Levy, you can see those are the total amounts. So that would include the experience adjustment plus the performance pay. So if you've had 1 to 2 years with us, if you're effective, you're gonna get 1,500. If you're highly effective, 2,000. So on and so forth till you get to the 16 plus years, you would get 4,000 or 4,500. We have on, I don't remember the exact number, it's less than 40, I think it's around 23 or so, on the performance side that have 16 to 37 years with us. So you have teachers with longevity on both schedules. Their average increase with the bonus is 10%, and then I broke down each layer to let you see how the majority of the money is going into the salaries of those that have 16 plus years with us. This would be the new hiring schedule if you approve it. And you can see we've increased, if you go to the very bottom, it's 57,000. If you come to us with 19 plus years, that's a $1,500 increase. And it started on about, the placement 13 started growing about 1,500. This will help with recruitment. So these are the statutes. We don't really just make this stuff up. We have kind of a parameter to follow in statutes that tells us how we can adjust salaries, and there's a definition for everything. So for salary adjustments, highly effective must be at least 25% greater than those on the grandfathered, and it is qualified as an employee of the same classification through any other salary schedule. So for the context of this proposal, we looked at it as 16 years. You had 16 plus years on performance, you were the same as 16 plus years on the grandfathered, so we needed to ensure you got at least 25% more. They're getting 28% more. Performance pay effective must be equal to at least 50%, but no more than 75% of highly effective, so it's 50%. 500 for effective, 1,000 for highly effective. And again, it's even in statute that we cannot provide an annual salary adjustment for an employee who received a rating other than highly effective or effective. So we feel comfortable telling you that some people who don't have ratings will get an increase because that's not what the statute says. The statute is implying if you've made them, unsatisfactory or needs improvement, those particular people would not qualify for an increase. All right, this is the ESP's increases. We've increased the overall salary schedule. We added a step 16. Those who started with Levy prior to the start of this school year would get to move up a step. Those who started this school year would only see an increase if their actual dollar per hour has increased based on the schedule. We've also increased the head custodian differential. Last year, the board approved $750. The union asked that it be increased to $1,500. We felt like that was a fair request, so we have increased that to $1,500. With the step increase, your support staff are looking at between 40 cents and 80 cents an hour increase. The lower, the 40 cent, those would be on those groupings that received the most a couple years ago when we did the $15 an hour. And you're looking at 3 to 5% increases. They would also be eligible for loyalty bonuses, same parameters, same amounts as the teachers. And again, they must not have a break in service, and sub hours or does not qualify. All right, this one we can throw away. I just found out with everybody else that we're not gonna have an increase in health insurance, but we did negotiate a 50-50 split had we had an increase. All right, so the total cost for the instructional and the ESP, what we TA'd on was 2.4, almost 2.5 million. That does include non-recurring funds of close to $1 million. The loyalty bonuses and the ARP bonuses are non-recurring. And I just want to remind everyone, you approved those ARP bonuses $1,000 this year. Employees have had 2 separate $500 bonuses if they qualify. All right, and again, the ratification occurred on the 24th, and it passed, 505 in favor and 11 opposed. So if we could, we can stop there and let the board, we'll move on to the administrative after, but if the board wanted to approve the ratification that occurred on the 24th.
I make a motion
Or
to
have a
approve
question.
the ratification.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any questions for Mrs. Lake? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes for the ratification. That's hurting his ears.
All right, we'll move on to the administrative
closer.
compensation, which is not bargained. So I wanted to kind of walk through that separately with you. We try to mimic on the administrative side what has occurred on the instructional side. Since teacher salary increase allocation, it's been very difficult to do that. So we do our best when we look at averages and percents to try to mirror or mimic what is going on. And this is our best idea of what we should award for the administrative side. So we have 2 administrative schedules. We have school-based, which is your principals and your APs. So we'll talk about that first. There's board policy 6.52 that makes them eligible for highly effective pay and effective pay in those amounts. We would ask to award that performance pay to those who are eligible. We would also ask that our school-based admin be eligible for the advanced degree supplements. There's statute that allows us to set their salary schedule with those advanced degrees. We did some research in neighboring counties, and we see that a lot of counties allow that, because what happens is you take a teacher out of the classroom that has a master's that's getting that supplement, you put him or her in an AP role, they actually lose money. I think Mr. Locke can attest to that. So this would be one way, one less thing to take away from them when they shift over. Now, it sounds, contrary to what you would think, but they have to have a master's to hold that position. We're asking you to still let them have the master's supplement. Again, as they transition up, they don't actually lose that pay. And of course, if they have a specialty or a doctorate, they would be eligible for those supplements. They would get the same loyalty bonus, same amounts, same dates as everyone else. That would allow them an average increase of 7% with the performance pay and the advanced degree supplement, and an average increase with the bonus of 9%. And those are the costs in the bottom. We have far less people on the administrative side, so you'll see those amounts look smaller, although those are really good increases. Next, we have the administrative other, so this would be your coordinators, your directors, your specialists. We have adjusted the salary schedule between 3 to 6%, it just depends on which lane. And we would ask that this schedule be eligible for higher ed supplements, with one caveat, that it would be eligible above the minimum degree required for their position. So not the same as the admin on the school sites. And the reason being is because we have different lanes, especially for coordinators. So when you start looking at how certain titles ended up on certain lanes, you'll start to see a pattern that some of those lanes are already higher because a master is required for that position. So we would ask at this time that the higher ed supplements go to those positions of people that hold a degree higher than what their position requires. Same loyalty bonuses. That would be an average increase of 5%, and then an average increase of 7% for those with bonuses. And one other piece we have on the administrative other is our confidential. So those would be your school secretaries, Miss Angela, payroll, personnel. those types of positions that aren't part of the bargaining unit. We've adjusted their salary schedule, we've added a step 16, it's an 80 cent an hour increase to match what's going on in the ESP side. We ask that you'd allow them to be eligible for the higher ed supplements, which is an AA or a 3-year. They would be eligible for the same bonuses. They would see an average increase of 4% and then 7% with the bonuses. So this is total compensation. This would be instructional, support staff, all the administration, the 2 sets of bonuses for 2.8. And that is all funds. That is not all impact to general fund. That is all funds. And that also includes $365 in mandatory TSIA. So not all of that is going to impact the general fund, but we do look like early calculations, we would end at about 16 or 17% financial condition ratio for this year, and then looks like it would be somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 or 11 next year.
How do you feel that looks in your opinion?
Projections look good. I get anxiety every time we approve any kind of increase because there's so many unknowns. But all indicators tell me this is a plan we can sustain.
And with that, with the hurricanes that have happened, are we looking at a deductible that we have to meet that you had to look at to determine all this?
No, the way the hurricanes impact us is we have to use our reserve funding to front all those costs. And then we get the money back from the county. FEMA used to take 2 years. County, we have much quicker turnaround time. But I would say in the neighborhood right now, we don't have all our costs. We're probably looking at fronting somewhere in the neighborhood of $300,000. So you've got to keep that in mind, and that's why we have that reserve funding, because we have to front all of that. We have to front the bonuses for the ARP before we can draw those down. All of our federal spending, all of our capital spending is dollars that we spend. And then
That's reimbursable.
Move approval.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Sorry,
Thank you, Ms. Lake.
Yep.
for all
Thank
your
Mrs.
you
work.
Lake,
so
how long
much
has it
for-
been since we looked at supplements and those?
I'm glad you asked. It's been a little while, and we have spoken to the union, and they are going to be creating a team and reaching out to Mr. Lott, who will create a district team. For hoping that we can settle with an MOU in maybe April or May to be able to impact our supplement schedule moving forward at the start of the next school year. We have asked them, though, not to bring us supplements that are recurring. So let's don't talk about increasing higher ed. Let's don't talk about increasing reading. Let's don't talk about increasing those differentials for the custodians and food service. Let's save those for the bargaining table when we talk about compensation, but let's come to the table with those various instructional and athletic supplements that haven't been touched in several years, so we can come out of the gate, hopefully in the start of the next school year with some kind of increase.
So like coaches, advisors?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Band
FFA,
aid.
yeah. Oh, yeah. AGCO,
ESE
yeah.
supplements, those
Yes,
different.
we need to address those,
Yeah,
I
there's-
think.
we're behind, for sure, in some counties.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Lake. I know that's a lot
Yeah.
of time that you spend. I will ask because it's here, but is there anyone here that would like to approach and make any board comments or public comments? What, who?
Somebody right there may want to.
Mr. Delaney?
Mr. Delaney has things to say.
He's still there?
He's probably asleep.
He's still.
He's muted us.
We're looking at item 9.
There he is.
We're looking at item 9, and this will be approving 2 board board meeting minutes from September 24th and October 14th.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from both
Second.
meetings.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions about the minutes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes for the minutes. We'll move on to the consent agenda, which I already made the correction with 10.66, the student trips. Mrs. Brookins, would you like to start?
All my questions have been answered, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitehurst?
All my questions answered, thank you.
All my questions were answered.
Mr.
Hey,
Asper?
guess what? All my questions have been answered.
And same for me. May I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. No further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes for consent. Item 11, we'll move to the finance.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye if there's no
Aye.
further discussion.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes for the finance.
Definitely good.
And Mr. Lott, would you like to take superintendent's comments?
Sure. Mr. Coward did not leave me anything to say in this case, and I'm a man of few words, but I do want to highlight one of our employees, Lori Conquest, who is the maintenance confidential secretary and has been employed with us since 1989. So almost as long as I've been here, she has been here, and she's retiring at the end of the month. And I just want to commend her on her dedication. Very dependable. She does a great job in keeping Mr. Stockman and his crew straight, as he can attest to. And she is going to be deeply missed in that maintenance department. And but you know, congratulations to her on her retirement. And we will deeply miss her. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Lott. Mr. Asper?
You're starting with me?
I always pick Mrs. Brookins.
Oh, man. Okay, no problem. I don't have a whole lot.
Oh, what does that mean?
That's being truthful. We had a very successful fish fry. We sold out. I want to thank everybody that came out and supported that. Bronson's homecoming was very successful. Homecoming is always cool in every town. It's amazing. And we had some homecoming royalty that came back, past homecoming queens, those kind of things. So it was pretty cool. I want to congratulate Carson Meeks and Antaeus Blacos for finishing third nationally in their FFA Science Fair demonstration project. I don't know exactly what you call it, but third in the nation, that ain't
Big
too
deal.
bad. And everything else just seems to be running smoothly, headed into a big November. That's all I have. That was quick.
No, that's great.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Asper. Mrs. Clemency?
I don't have a lot either. I wanted to say though, Yankeetown uses a food program. It's called Kids. I don't want to look at my phone because I think it's against the law. Kids Eats. Kids Eats. It was a backpack program, and we switched to Kids Eats because the backpack program basically was feeding kids Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. So, and there are a lot of people in Yankeetown that need that. So we switched to Kids Eats. The clubs in Yankeetown are amazing. The Women's Club, Lions Club, all the clubs that help support. But they've all been hit by the hurricane so badly they don't have the funds. So I want to say thank you to the Levy County Foundation, who've stepped up. Before they stepped up, the program we were using, I think Ms. Westfall said we have 95 kids that are there waiting for their backpack on Fridays. And they asked if we could cut down that list, and she said she couldn't. She could not think of one kid, and she said when you have anybody that has a middle schooler or has had a middle schooler can understand this, but when you have middle school kids come up and ask for their backpack, and that's usually kind of a prideful, embarrassing time, try not to get choked up, but these people are very needy, and the hurricanes hit hard down there, and it's hard to wrap our mind around even the people in Levy County that have such needs, but we have 95 kids, and she could not cross one off of that list. And so, big thank you to Levy County School Foundation, and the fact that we have that foundation so amazing, because they're stepping in and helping make sure that these kids, Friday through Sunday, have enough food to eat. So, that's it, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mrs. Clemency. Mr. Whitehurst?
It's hard to follow.
Sorry.
First, I want to enjoy Ms. Richardson's presentation, showing, the positive side of social media. We always hear all the negativity and stuff, and like the first comment, have the positive drown out the negative. So I certainly glad to see that, and just I know we have a Williston volleyball's playing today down in Moorhaven, so praying for safe travels and hopefully a victory on the way back home. And also Ms. Lake's presentation on, you know, I'm glad to see all the teachers, but also the administrators, you know, raises across the board. I think we had a slide, you know, 3 or 4 months ago where, you know, I think teachers have gotten like a 25 or 28% increase in administration, and all that it was like a 8, 7, 8, somewhere around there. So it's kind of good to see that we're actually catching some of that up too. So, you know, because everybody works hard, you know, not just the teachers. Obviously they work hard, but, you know, administrators and everybody. It takes the whole team. So I was glad to see that, you know, we could get something like that going and have the funds to do it. So I just pray everybody's safe, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whitehurst. Mrs. Brookins?
Great to follow everybody, because I certainly agree with everything you've all said, and good comments and everything, and certainly hope that the board will follow up, like Cameron said, with the supplements and things, because that's critical too, along with the raises and everything that were passed today. Chiefland, they're doing their makeup homecoming week because of the storm, so I think everything's going smooth with that, and it's an adjustment and change for the students, but it's a good thing. And then I just wanted to congratulate all the FFA members that went to the national convention this past week and all their successes. Some really good things that came out of that as well. Thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mrs. Brookins. I'll say definitely congratulations, number one, to that FFA. And I know I talked to some of the students that went to the nationals, and they did so well, and they didn't even know some of the protocol that's expected at the national level. So even being subject to that, they said that they'll know going forward, because some things that they, like I said, they've never seen. And I don't even think some realized that they had never seen that protocol before. So they really stepped it up. And I do like Mrs. Richardson's presentation. That makes a lot of sense, and it's great to be able to follow all the graphs with that. Thank you, Mrs. Lake, and for all the work that you did, and the negotiations team as well. I know there's no one here present, but I know that they worked very hard on that with you, and you stepped up for everybody, and the whole negotiation team did as well. And the Levy County School Foundation, fantastic, what they're doing. I also, yesterday, was able to see the Cedar Key Lions Club. They do a lot as well for Cedar Key, and they were at the pep rally yesterday and presented a check to all the clubs that had signed up for the Seafood Festival. And there were 13 from the school, and that's pretty much where they raised their funds for the school year. And they awarded everyone a total of $13,000. And so that gave each club $1,000. And then I ran into a representative from Suncoast Bank, and they also gave Levy County, this is probably something Mr. Cowart was going to mention today, but they did Tri-County, but Levy County ended up getting $10,000 from the Suncoast Credit Union, and they processed it through Levy County School Foundation. It's amazing to see the outpouring of love, and I know I said that last time, but there is so much devastation, and I think right now, after speaking to some folks last night, they're looking at it like, let's move on. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but they're trying to, let's do whatever we can to go to normal, you know, so they're trying to still move forward, but putting it in the past, and doing what they could. Yeah. And I guess that's all I have.
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Lott, do you know if they've decided, if you guys have decided on makeup days, hurricane days?
We have not.
Okay. I've gotten a couple of phone calls about it, so maybe next meeting.
We have not decided, and we believe it'll be something that would have to be negotiated, so, but we haven't reached that point. We are still waiting on DOE to possibly give us some guidance there, but they have not, so we're kind of on a wait and see point at this point.
I know FSBA on the advocacy thing, we had a meeting Friday, like a Zoom, but they haven't put out the full thing, but it was, talking about trying to get to some of the days for giving and really work with the school districts to try to figure out what to do with all the hurricane impacts, so. I
Have
know-
they heard anything?
No, they haven't heard
Or
anything,
they
that
were
was
just
just
discussing it?
discussing it, yeah. But no news.
It's really difficult because on one hand, you have children that did not get a chance at an education, and therefore will impact their student growth and student achievement, which
Right.
that in turn impacts teachers' performance pay. So it's very complex, and then you have contractual calendars that have already been agreed upon, and so you're altering those things, and so it's not an easy solution.
A lot of moving parts.
It's not an easy solution there, so we're gonna wait and see at this point, and obviously we have to move forward soon, but we're gonna wait a little longer on some direction.
Okay, smart.
Thank you, Mr. Lot. No further business, meeting is adjourned.